I sold the company in 2020 for over $50 million. Dude, I'm just some bum on the couch in Brooklyn. Like, you can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. My tagline in business is serve the world unselfishly. I think if you serve unselfishly, you profit in the act. If you can find a way to serve a community, you're gonna profit. And the role of service is the most powerful role.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have Ezra Firestone, a marketing legend, someone I've looked up to for probably at least a decade now. I've been watching you on YouTube, and I was a OCU customer, one-click upsell customer when I did dropshipping and e-commerce for 4 or 5 years. All my friends, I mean, you were our margin half the time when we had really bad products that weren't doing well, and we weren't smart enough to how to market them for what lifetime value and build an actual business. So it's a privilege for me to be sitting here after Affiliate Takeover with one of the main speakers, with one of the legends in the space, Ezra Firestone. Thank you, my man.
Thanks for having me, brother. It's also good to be with another jiu-jitsu guy.
Another jiu-jitsu.
We're gonna have to settle this training at some point.
On the mat.
Unfortunately, yeah, and not this time, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you for taking the time.
Sure.
I want most of my audience, probably at least half of them are old enough. I say that because I'm dating myself here. The other half is much younger, in their early 20s. They weren't around for the
up-and-comers making it happen, full of piss and vinegar.
So tell everyone who you are. How'd you get to where we are now?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story, which is I was America's #1 Afro wig, Elvis wig, mullet wig, finger wave fluff, King Louis XIII wig retailer on the internet, 2008 through 2010.
2008 to 2010.
Yep. I started in 2005 in the game. And my story's kind of interesting because I, was working a full-time job. I didn't make it out of high school. I don't come from money, and I have walked the path of entrepreneurship from working a full-time job, moonlighting my entrepreneur businesses to do-it-yourself entrepreneur, to business owner, to now investor. I've sold hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars worth of my own products. I've sold companies. I sold a company in 2020 for over $50 million. And dude, I'm just some bum off a couch in Brooklyn. Like, you can do this. If I can do it, you can do it. But it's been cool to travel the economic spectrum, to grow up poor and then now be one of the wealthier people that I know, and to have that perspective of every stage of the game. So Smart Marketer, which is my education company, it's doing pretty wonderfully because I think we in Smart Marketer have that perspective of knowing what it really is like to start out and have to work to support yourself and moonlight your entrepreneurship hustle. And then how do you actually scale piece by piece till where you have systems and processes that work on your behalf.
And you built it in a way where it's something with longevity. It's not one of these run-of-the-mill coaching programs or how to make your first 10K and then 6 months later you're not teaching anything. There's obviously time-told principles behind what you're teaching. You were doing this 10 years ago when I first started writing Facebook ads and selling stuff online.
Well, I believe in this model of permaculture. So permaculture is a farming term, and it basically means reusing all of your assets to their greatest benefit. So capture the rainwater, water the garden, take the chicken shit, use it for the compost. And I think we as humans and as people tend to have more resources available to us than we realize. The people around us, the network around us, content on the internet. And if you look at Smart Marketer, it's Smart Marketer is just documenting what I'm doing in my businesses. So I document what I'm doing in my businesses. I share it with business owners. Any money that gets made from that, I put it back into my businesses. So it all just kind of supports each other.
But that feeds everything else you do. Your brand acquisitions, your agency, and relationships.
It all kind of works together.
Yeah. Let's go back to when you were in New York when all this started, right?
Yeah.
What were you doing before you sold your first thing online?
I moved to New York at 17 to play poker for a living, which is you're up all night, you're sleeping all day, you're drinking Red Bulls, eating Butterfingers, you're all fucked up, you're under fluorescent lights, everyone's fat and nasty. It was not a good life. And at that point, it was all mafia run too, because it was underground New York City illegal clubs. I was called Johnny, how you doing? Everybody had a nickname. And I did pretty well in that life. But ultimately, it's not a sustainable lifestyle. There's just a bunch of degenerates and it's not good. But I met a guy, this was 2004 and a half, 5, and he was doing search engine optimization, because all the way back in 2005, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, there was no WhatsApp, there was none of that. There was only, TikTok. There was only Google search and Yahoo search and MSN search. And so the only way you could generate visibility on the internet was through search traffic. And by the way, iPhones didn't exist yet. You had if someone was going to buy something, it was on desktop computers. Right now, about 18% of all transactions are happening on the internet. Back then it was like 3 or 4%. So it was a much smaller market. This guy was using Google search as a way to generate visibility for his information products. He was selling DVDs, physical DVDs on like how to start a coaching business, how to become a life coach.
Who was he?
This guy, I'll tell you about him in a second. His name was David Wood. He came over from Australia. He kind of founded one of the big coaching companies. But this was like before coaching had not penetrated the mainstream. Now there's life coaches, relationship coaches, health coaches, business coaches. Coaching is like a mainstream concept as a thing. It wasn't. He helped pioneer this. And, I made a trade with him. I was like, look, you're making, at this point, he wasn't making, we got it up to a couple $1,000,000, but he was making a couple $100,000 a year. And from his laptop in 2005. And I'm staying up all night with Vinny the limo and Sonny Franchisi and a bunch of fucking degenerates who have guns. And you are sitting behind your laptop making money. You gotta show me what you're doing, bro. So I taught him poker and he taught me search engine optimization. And I took over his business and I became the marketing arm from 2005 to 2009, selling his products. And what was interesting was I learned about webinars, long form sales pages. And back then, the only way you could communicate with someone was getting their email. That was it. There was no phone, there was no SMS, there was no retargeting, there were no social media profiles. The only way that you could communicate with someone was you had to get their email. So basically all it was a newsletter. It was like you ranked on Google search, someone came to your website, you got their email address, and then you emailed them content that like helped them out and was useful to them, and eventually you sold them stuff via a webinar or a long form sales page. And so I kind of learned that business. And the issue I had with that business was two things. One, turns out, dirty little secret, if you sell information, 95% of the people who buy it don't use it. They just don't. And it's like, hey, maybe it helped them on their journey. They bought the information and they felt good about it, but they didn't actually consume it. But like most people were not using the content. I didn't love that. And number two, he was the face of the brand. And we'd gotten this thing up to over $1 million a year, which, for me growing up, this was like an unfathomable amount of money to me at the time. He was the face of it, and he experienced what a lot of entrepreneurs experience, which is burnout. He didn't want to write emails. He didn't want to make videos. He didn't want to be the face anymore. And overnight, this business that I had like poured my heart and soul into went away. And I was like, you know what? Businesses that rely on a single individual as the face of them have a very, very bad downside, which is if that individual stops working, you don't make any more money. So it went away. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to use the skills that I learned of search engine optimization. Meanwhile, I had taken a job at a yoga studio. I was managing the largest yoga studio in New York City in Midtown Manhattan. I'm going to use these skills to sell my own products. What do I want to sell? I started doing affiliate marketing. I was doing a local Google AdWords and Google, because AdWords had come out where you could run Google ads to rank, to show up in when someone typed in a search query. Doing that for local businesses, for Pilates studios and stuff. And I stumbled across, I was working actually at a makeup studio as well on the Lower East Side, and she was selling wigs. This was 2007 that I started working at that job. And one guy came in one day, a Hasidic dude, old school Hasidic dude with the payasses and everything. And he bought 15 Elvis wigs for $150. And I thought to myself, man, if I could sell 15 Elvis wigs, I will have made it in life. Because I thought $150 like more than I made from her in a week, And I was like, I'm going to sell wigs on the internet. And I went and found out, it turns out the Jews in New York controlled the wig market, because in Hasidic Judaism, you shave your head if you're a woman and you wear like human hair wigs, and they also controlled all the costume wig markets. So I found out who the supplier was. I went to Midtown, and there was two dudes, Elliot and Moodle. Elliot was like the size of a fridge. Moodle was like a beanpole, and Elliot's sitting there behind his desk. And this is like Midtown Manhattan, 2007, warehouse full of clown wigs and all kinds of crazy shit. Elliot's got a bag of miniature apple pies. And he's just banging down apple pies. He's just banging them down. And I'm like, hey, dude, I want to sell your shit on the internet. He's like, you're going to need $300,000 to build a website. And I was like, dog, just give me the CD. So he gave me a CD with all the images on it. I built this little wig website. I ranked it in Google search, and I became, and basically I would this was drop shipping. So I would make an order. Someone would pay me, $30 for an Elvis wig. I would fax it over to Elliot and Moodle.
You had a fax to order it.
You had to fax it in. They would ship it out. And then what I realized was I could make, it was before spreadsheets. Like there was no technology to say, is this in stock or is it not in stock? So I would sell something and then they wouldn't have it. And I was like, man, drop shipping is kind of a pain in the ass. This was before you couldn't go to China. China didn't exist.
Didn't see inventory counts.
Yeah, none of that. And there was no Chinese drop shipping where you're drop shipping from some factory in China. That didn't even exist. It was like American suppliers. But I sold Barstools, gift baskets, dog supplies, everything. And there's a company now, they're called Wayfair. Wayfair is one of the largest drop shippers in the world. They're billions and billions of dollars. We started at the same time. They were my main competitors. They were grandfatherclocks.com. I was my grandfatherclocks.com. They were about 10 years ahead of me in age and skill. And they understood things like team and delegation and systems and processes and financial and analysis and forecasting. And they became one of the biggest brands in the world. Meanwhile, I did really well as a drop shipper. I made millions of dollars. I sold a couple businesses, but like I was young, didn't know how to manage money, didn't understand how to pay taxes, didn't understand how to hire or train people. And so they went on to become, it was a good time to get into that business. They wanted to become one of the biggest companies in that space. And I went on to build my own brands. And ultimately what I decided with drop shipping was like, man, I love that I'm selling a product that people use, but I'm spending all this money and time and energy to sell someone else's product. What if I did it to make my own brand? And that way I could know when the product would ship out. And so ultimately with the wig people, I would go to Midtown. I'd say, give me 100 troll wigs. I'd buy the troll wigs. I'd take them on the subway back to my little apartment on the Lower East Side, and then I would ship them out. So at least I knew how much inventory I had. But eventually I started making my own products. And that's kind of like, I'm well known in this industry as the e-commerce guy. Frankly, not because I'm any better or smarter than anyone else who's been successful. I was the first person. I was the first one. Blogging kind of became a thing in like 2010. I was already deep in e-commerce, so I started blogging about it. I'm like, blogging's kind of fun. People probably want to hear about this. Shopify picked me up. BigCommerce picked me up. Entrepreneur Magazine picked me up because I was kind of one of the only voices. And I have a bit of a flair for storytelling and having fun. And so I kind of like by default became the influencer in the space. And now all of a sudden they want me to speak at events. And they want me to teach courses for them. And I just kind of like ended up having this little side hustle of influencer. Before that was like a buzzword as an e-commerce entrepreneur influencer. And then what would happen is like, there'd be these big marketing conferences and they'd get, Richard Branson from Virgin to come in and he would sell the tickets. But then they'd get me to come in to actually teach people shit. I mean, not that he doesn't teach people
He was
stuff.
like an opener.
Yeah, high end, mindset, philosophy, big picture stuff. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, how do you actually run ads? How do you build a sales process? And I would come in and teach that. So I ended up like slotting in to all these big events. And it just kind of like, cascaded to where then I was really well known in this like weird little corner of the internet. A bunch of internet nerds knew who I was. And it was kind of cool.
It's a lot bigger now.
It's big now. Yeah. Back then it was like if you sold shit on the internet, people like thought you were in porn or gambling and they did not understand. They just thought you were weird and creepy. And frankly, dude, back in the day, it was just a bunch of creepy motherfuckers on forums. There wasn't events. Like it's like our industry was not what it is now. It was like, there were no women around, the Warrior Forum, all that shit. Yeah, it was a rough time.
What was your favorite event that you miss going to that was not maybe the early days, but somewhere in the 2010s?
In the 2010s, there was a company called Amazing Selling Machine. And these cats created more millionaires than probably any education company ever because they were teaching people how to sell on Amazon as Amazon was exploding. I mean, literally their success rate with creating millionaires was like 1 out of 2 people who bought their product at the time. It was insane how easy it was. I mean, Amazon at this point is like 43 to 44 cents of every dollar spent on the internet in America spent on Amazon. That is like to understand how much volume of commerce that is so hard to fathom. And they're kind of like growing every year, eating the world. And they're doing it because, they don't have to make money, Amazon, on their physical products because they have this thing called Amazon Web Services. So I have a software company. I'm going to answer your question in a second, but I have a software company called Zipify. We help Shopify stores. You used it. We do about $10 million a year, nice profit margin. We buy all of our hosting from Amazon Web Servers. They've got Amazon Web Services has big servers in Idaho and everywhere, and they're selling services. That company makes untold sums of money. So what they can do is they can lose money on literally 90% of orders on Amazon.com. And when they do that, no other company can compete with them. They can lose money on shipping free for 2 days. They can lose money on selling things because then they can say, hey, we lost money over here. We made money over here. We don't have to pay any taxes. And they put everyone else out of business. I can't sell a product on Amazon and lose money. I can't sell a product on the internet and lose money. They can, so they can undercut everybody. The other thing is when you sell on Amazon, they force you to tell them who your manufacturer is. And then guess what they do? They look at the best products in every vertical and they say, you know what, we're going to do an Amazon Basics version of this. They go to the factory and they say, hey, we see you're making this for this cat. Make it for us cheaper.
They compete with you.
Yeah, they compete with you. They find the best verticals and they make an Amazon version. I mean, this is the game. I don't begrudge them. I'm so grateful to Amazon for being a channel and a platform that I can sell on. I'm not saying it's bad or wrong, but what I am saying is these dudes started teaching people way back in the day how to do Amazon commerce. It was called Amazing Selling Machine. Now it's called amazing.com. And I partnered up with them to be one of their educators because I could bring the other side of the business. I was an Amazon guy too, but I could bring the e-commerce, Shopify, BigCommerce, advertising, SEO, sales funnels, education to their programs. Dude, they had the greatest events. Nobody has ever done events that good ever again.
Because they were actual hands-on, here's how you do things.
And the energy of the time it's like how people talk about the 60s. I don't know if you know much about the 60s in America, but it's like AIDS had not happened yet. There was the clap and there was gonorrhea, but those things didn't kill you. Penicillin had been invented. So you're pre-AIDS, you're post-penicillin, there's no STD that can kill you. You go talk to somebody from that time. Let them. The free love movement apparently was a wonderful time to be alive. It's like that time. It's sort of a weird analogy. I'm equating it to sex, but it was I apologize to any of these listeners, but it's like the energy of that moment was a really special moment. And look, there's always another special moment. When Pinterest first came out, it was a special moment. When Facebook first came out, it was a special moment. TikTok ads had its kind of thing. Like there was just a kind of energy, but for whatever reason, those events, there was 5,000 or 6,000, 7,000 people in the audience. They had beach balls going. It was
like a Tony Robbins marketer event.
It was, but not so, but they weren't trying to sell you anything. It was all the people were already their customers.
Just amped up.
Yeah. It was like everybody was winning and it felt good. And like usually you go to a Tony Robbins type, or there was this guy, T. Harv Eker.
I know who this is.
Yeah. Millionaire Mind. And the life coach guy that I was telling you about, one of the ways that he sold product was he would go to Never Work Again seminars, Millionaire Mind, T. Harv Eker, and he would sell from stage. And it's like you get a bunch of people in a room, you crank up the AC so they're not tired, you hoorah-rah them, you throw shit at them, and then you sell them fucking shit from stage. It's like he did this. I've only sold from stage once at Grant Cardone's event. I sold a smart marketer program. It was a lot of fun. I could really see the energy and vibe and why it's a good time to sell from stage. But like, I didn't love those events because it was like, you're selling people a dream, man. And most people aren't going to succeed. And what's different about my education program, when I started doing education, the real money in education, this is a dirty little secret of education, the real money in information publishing is made in business opportunity, selling people how to start a business. And turns out, like The Secret with Bob Proctor and all these people who have mindset and self-growth at content, Tony Robbins, where they monetize is business opportunity. You can't really sell somebody mindset stuff for very much money, but you can sell them, here's how you start a business. So all those mindset people started going to sending their leads to the T. Harv Ekers and Tony Robbins and stuff who were going to sell, here's how you start a business. So business opportunity is where all the money is made. I don't sell business opportunity. I've never sold business opportunity. I sold business opportunity once in 2012. Or in 2013, I had a program right before Amazing Selling Machine, amazing.com came out, called the Brown Box Formula, teaching people how to start a dropshipping business. It was great. Created a lot of millionaires myself, not anywhere close to what ASM did. What I sell and have always sold, and my vertical, the niche I wanted to go into was, okay, you have something. How do you scale it? I sell business education. And I thought, hey, there's all these people out there selling opportunity. I kind of don't love selling opportunity because, like I said, 95% of people are going to fail. So you're taking people's money and most of them aren't going to be successful.
Yeah.
If you have something and you actually do this shit, because for me, it's like, look, I'm not saying my way is the right way. I'm not saying my way is the only way. All I'm saying is this is actually what I'm doing that's working for me, and try it out. And if you actually do it, it's going to work. If you have something good to sell, something with integrity, something real, it's going to work for you. And so that was kind of like, I got into the business education space before most people. And so I was able to also have a prominent monetization arm for this influencer persona that had been created kind of on accident through business education.
What's it like being at an event today in 2025, like Affiliate Takeover, which we met at, and you look around and like maybe a third of the room's 25 and under. So, but they never had that. They never had guys selling info products or coaching from the stage. Like and I don't know, maybe it's just the affiliate space. You go to a lot of different events, so maybe you see a different type of attendee. But a lot of these guys are very like analytical, unemotional, like to the point, what's working, how do I do it? Like they're not the coaching world where you see more emotion and energy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hard to be a young person today. Look, when I came out of high school in 2004, barely got out of there, never went to college, but my generation that went to college, they graduated college in 2008, the economy crumbled. There was the big collapse, the 2008 collapse. Nobody could get jobs. Money was scarce. It was like, I think these cats are coming into a similar economy. Inflation's crazy. You can't afford a house. AI is killing most of your entry-level knowledge work jobs. And also, I will say, unfortunately, I hire a lot. I have about 200 employees. The young Americans, the 20-somethings, don't have the work ethic that our generation had. This is my own personal limited experience with hiring these folks is, when I was growing up, it was like you worked hard, you were grateful for an opportunity, and you showed up and you were not entitled. You didn't feel like you were owed anything. You fucking put it in and you earned. It was a meritocracy. You earned what you could get. I think it's harder to earn stuff today because I think there's less opportunities. And I also feel like there's a little bit of entitlement and a lack of desire and willingness to work hard at something. And I think, and I go to Bulgaria and I go to Ukraine, and I go to these other, European countries, and I get young people. They don't have that. They work hard. They're grateful for an opportunity. They put it in. They want to rise up. So I think we got like the Gen Z, I think they feel a little disenfranchised and like it's not possible. The American dream isn't possible for them. And there's a level at which it's kind of like, I understand where you're coming from. Money's inflation has fucked the economy in this crazy way, especially since COVID. And, we're in this bubble, like real estate prices have to come down. Like there has to be a correction. But yeah, I see them and I'm happy they're there. I'm glad there's a next generation in our industry. And I like going to these events because people come to me, man, I took your stuff 15 years ago and it really helped me. So it kind of feels good to be like validated. Like I've had an impact.
Are you optimistic?
For sure. Endlessly. I think the future is bright, man. I think there's so much opportunity. I think there's so much potential and so much possibility. And I think the only thing that you see online is all the negative shit. Mostly because that is what keeps your attention.
They're marketers too, right?
Yeah. And like
they're selling clicks and I'm getting eyeballs.
Yes. And Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and, Google and Snapchat and TikTok, they've all figured out that scaring people and angering people is what keeps their attention.
Pissing them off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Piss them off and freak them out, and you'll keep them online. And that's how they monetize. They monetize with your attention. So like when you go on there, you're being deliberately manipulated to be angry and scared. And so you have to know that going in, and people talk so much about what you put into your body, but what about what you put in your mind? That's more important, because what you think is everything. How you approach the world is all mindset. And so I think you got to be careful when you go on the internet. You got to be deliberate about what you consume. You cannot just consume everything that's on there. You're going to be fucked up.
You've had many brands now under as an investor, but even I don't know if with the big beauty brand you had.
Yeah. I have built and sold over a dozen brands. I'm currently invested in over a dozen brands. And through Smart Marketer, I have coached and advised thousands of brands. So I've had a good sort of wide experience with not just e-commerce, but coaching, agency, local businesses, affiliate. Like I've done software. I've had a good e-commerce is my favorite. E-commerce, I think, is the best business model. E-commerce is, I think, the most scalable business model. E-commerce, I think, is the most compounding over time value business model. But I've done a lot of them.
With what was the brand that
Boom Beauty?
Boom Beauty, yes. Yeah. What year did that company start? And
we started in 2010. We didn't have our first $100,000 year until 2014, and we did 20 million in 2016, and we've been off to the races ever since.
If you had to start that beauty brand again today, what would you do differently?
I would leverage influencers and ambassadors day one instead of year 10.
No paid media.
No, I would do paid media, but I would do paid media fueled by influencers and ambassadors instead of, we basically we had an individual persona who was the face of the brand, and that was good until she died, which was sad. And she was like a second mom to me. She was like she was my business partner, and she was also the face of the company. And, every video, every email, everything came from her. And so when she died, it was like, shit, what are we going to do? We lost our connection to our audience. There's another situation like the life coach who burned out. I was like, dude, I end up back in this spot. I think life is like, you're either spiraling down or you're spiraling up, but you end up in similar places and the patterns that you have as an individual, and the blind spots that you have as an individual, and the, addictions and all the things that come with being a human, like you're going to either experience them in a more intense, worse way, or you're going to experience them from a new perspective as a more developed, self-actualized, person. But you're going to keep coming around to similar spots until you work through that thing.
What's something else you've seen repeat like that?
I mean, too many to count. And like, for example, before I met my wife, I had a real issue with boundaries. Didn't know how to set them. I had a company where I sold development services, and in 1 year, I sold $3 million of dev services. I didn't make any profit because basically I would sell a service, right? This is just one example of my issues with boundaries, but it's a good example because it's a business example. I'd sell a service, call it 15 grand to develop a Magento website. It's one of the things I did. And then you'd come back, I'd do it. Hey man, can you fix this? Hey, got to change that. And like, you'd already paid me, so I would keep doing it. And then it's like, I finally figured out the way to sell software is on a monthly subscription. Cause like, okay, you want me to do more shit? You want to keep using the thing? You pay every month. Like now I have a really successful software as a service business. But, yeah, I mean, that's come around in my life over and over and over again, is like learning how to set boundaries, learning where actually are my boundaries? How do I feel about this? And then being able to stand firm on them and say no or yes. Like it's an upward spiral. I'm better at it now. But that has gotten me in trouble, and also has not, it's like greatest strength, greatest weakness,
Double-edged sword, man.
Yeah,
So I
there
got
you
this
go.
one too. Everything's got it. So I know we talked earlier before we started filming, and you were saying you don't really need to do these anymore. But
No.
then we started talking about this tattoo on your arm.
Audra? Yeah. My daughter passed away 2 years ago. She was born 1 pound, 11 ounces. She was like this big. She was born 3 months premature. And she was in the neonatal intensive care unit for a year across like 4 different cities. And it came home. We got her home, and she lived at home for 7 months before she died. And she lived a really beautiful life, man. And the interesting thing about that experience was like, it was the darkest, most painful, scariest, most intense time, but also like you don't expand in one direction. Expansion happens like this. And so my capacity to feel pain expanded, but also my capacity to feel joy and gratitude and presence and intention and beauty expanded in the same way. So it's like, also, if you wrote a story about my life, you'd write it about that chapter. It's the most meaningful, beautiful thing that ever happened to me. And she lived a really wonderful life, a short life, but a short life well lived. And like, I don't want another daughter. My daughter was Audra, and she was medically complex, and she came here to do the work she came here to do, and she did it very quickly. And so it's like, if she had been a healthy child, she wouldn't have been Audra. So that's who she was. But through my experience with her, I saw one of my blind spots, which is like, if you would have asked me 4 years ago, before Audra, I'd have told you I'll be a CEO till the day I die. I fucking love this shit. I'm good at it. It's fun. Why would I ever not do it? I like it. As soon as Audra came, I was like, I have no interest in this. I like just immediately I'm uninterested and want to do other things. And, we're talking about these events. I went off the road during COVID. And what I found was, hey, I don't need to be on the road. I don't need to do events in order for all of my businesses to do well. And the 2 businesses that so like most of my businesses are actually running and operating e-commerce businesses. I'd say about 10% of my revenue, wealth, energy is the information publishing business, Smart Marketer, where we sell courses, events, masterminds, coaching, agency services. We'll run your ads, we'll run your emails, we'll build your creative. And then the software company, Zipify, right? We extend the functionality of your Shopify store. It's about 10%. And I had the opinion that in order for those to work, I had to be out here on the road, speaking at events, doing podcasts, all that kind of stuff. No, they're established enough. They're doing well enough. I'm well known enough. I've been doing this 20 years that I don't have to be. And I discovered that. And so I stopped. And then, after Audra, I thought, man, there's something beautiful that happens when you go somewhere outside of your normal routine and you meet people and you connect and you get inspired and you get to feel a pulse on the industry. And like, people want to hear what I have to say. It's kind of amazing that I found myself in this position where people are interested in whatever the fuck I have to say. And I feel really grateful and humbled and inspired by the opportunity to do it. So I like to do these. I'm grateful to do these things. Whereas I'd gotten kind of burned out and jaded and sort of like less appreciative of these. Now I'm like, fuck yeah, dude.
Like
awesome.
You're a rarity. Like there's not many guys that last 20 years.
Well, it turns out consistent. It's like I've seen a lot of people burn out. Entrepreneurship, so you're going to burn out at some point. People burn out. People get addicted to different kind of drugs and stuff. People get like, they have their network, their value as a human being tied to their success of their business. So the business is going to go up and down. That's going to happen. Shit's going to go wrong. Shit's going to go right. It's like if you, my own view of my self-worth is tied to, do I feel like I am walking through the world in integrity with my moral compass? Do I feel like I am offering a contribution of spirit to this world? Am I taking care of my family, my community? Am I having a good, positive relationship with my wife? Like that's where my value lies. And so if the business goes away, I was poor before, I'd be poor again. If the business goes away, I like having resource. I like having money. I got 60 hippies to support. Like I'm happy. I'm interested in wealth creation, but I don't attach my self-worth to it. And I think that is helping.
Used to.
No, I never did, because I grew up on a hippie commune and I always knew that money was a tool that you could use and it was a cool thing, but like you don't need it to be happy. The happiest people in the world are often not the rich ones. Rich people tend to be pretty fucking miserable, a lot of them. So yeah, but Audra was a really big experience. So we started a nonprofit called Love Runneth Over. And it is like, it turns out that premature birth tends to affect people on the lower end of the economic spectrum more than on the upper end. And like we'd be in the hospital and there'd be like 100 sick and dying babies. And we'd be like the only family there. And you have these doctors and nurses who only can do as much as they can do. And you have these babies that are like, nobody loves me. Nobody cares about me. And when a baby can be with their mom, they call it kangaroo care, skin to skin contact. Those babies survive at like a 50 to 60% higher ratio because they're like, I am loved, I am wanted, instead of like, I'm alone, you know? And so we do financial grants because it turns out a lot of these families can't afford to get to the hospital. They've got to go work a job. They have other kids at home. They have to talk to their kid on a fucking iPad, you know? And then they also can't advocate. You know, the medical industrial complex, like the doctors are beautiful, the nurses are beautiful, and a hospital's a profit center. And the incentive is for medical intervention. And so they're pushing to intervene with surgeries, with all kinds of shit. And if you are not there advocating, there's going to be more of that, which you need some, but you don't need all of it. And so like we help out families who are in that spot. We do financial grants. We give you like little gift bags when you show up at the NICU, because like you're all of a sudden you were living your life and now you just got to be at this hospital and you're like staying at a motel across the street. You don't have a toothbrush. You don't have any food. We do things like giving car seats and getting people rides to the hospital and stuff. So
beautiful, man.
Yeah. And we match $100,000 in donations. So, and it's all volunteer, no cost of administration. The downside of nonprofit work is, you know, if you donate $1 to like the Red Cross, I don't actually know the stats on this, so forgive me, Red Cross, but like a lot of these big charities, like 90 cents will go to cost of administration, paying for salaries and 10 cents will go to the cause. No, 100% of any money donated to Love Runneth Over goes directly to babies and families. And yeah, so that's been an impactful thing. And it's like, you know, usually an interesting thing happens when you're hungry, you'll do funny things to eat. You'll play in gray areas. You're scarce. As soon as you are satiated, you look around and you think, well, how fun is it to be satiated if that person's hungry and you want to help them? And it's like, first starts with yourself. Take care of yourself first, because if you're a wreck, what good are you to anyone else? Then take care of your family, your community, and then what causes in the world are meaningful to you. And, you know, for us, it was always like land preservation, water preservation. We've got some causes that are meaningful to us, but it's like, there's a lot of things you could contribute to. You kind of got to pick a lane. And for us now, you know, NICUs, premature babies, that's kind of our lane.
How has it been having your son just about
awesome.
A year ago?
Yeah, he's the cordless version. Audra was plugged into a wall. She had a tracheostomy. She was on a ventilator, and it was cool. I mean, we learned like, dude, I became like a certified nurse. I can care for a baby that has a trach. You know, what's crazy is in order to get out of the hospital and take this baby home. So she has a trach. Do you know what a trach is? It's a tube that goes into your throat here. And there's a little water balloon that inflates that's connected on the inside. So it's like a little straw. It goes in and there's a water balloon that allows it to not be pulled out, right? So that's your airway. And then it's connected to a ventilator that keeps your lungs inflated. It inflates and deflates your lungs. You're too weak. You have premature lungs. Your lungs don't work. So in order to keep them pumping, and because your lungs at always are at about 5 millimeters, they never quite all the way deflate. If they fully deflated, you'd be fucked. So they just naturally, they keep a little bit of air in them. So, but babies don't have that strength to keep their lungs inflated, and they don't have that strength to, these premature ones, right? So you got this little tube in your neck, and you're connected to this ventilator that has specific oxygen pressure, specific air pressure to inflate and deflate and give you the right amount of oxygen that you need based on how well you can oxygenate. And I can get into more of the specifics of that, but how your lungs are structured, it's really fascinating. But in order to take your baby home, you have to know how to clean these things, how to care for them, how to deal with the ventilator. And you have to be able to, what if the trach gets clogged? What if she gets detached, right? So you have to be able to, and it happens, you have to be able to, with nobody else around, she's this big, dude. She's tiny, right? So you have to be able to take this tracheostomy off, boom, unstrap, it's strapped on with a little cat collar. So you deflate the water balloon. So there's a balloon in there. You deflate it. Now there's a little bit of air, and you can hear, because there's like some air going, because the balloon also acts as like a thing to plug the little hole in the neck, right? Boom, you deflate the balloon. You unstrap it. You pull it out. Now she has got 1 minute to live. She will die, okay? You have to stuff another one. So you're holding this one out here. You got to get the other one. You got to stuff it in her neck. Meanwhile, she's bucking and fighting. You know what the fuck's going on? You stuff this thing in there. You strap it on. You connect it to the ventilator. You inflate the little bubble. You got to do that in a minute by yourself. And she's dying, by the way, as you're doing it. It's like the pressure is so crazy. Like, God bless these NICU nurses who do this all day, every day. But I don't know why I was telling you about that, other than I can't remember what your question was.
How life's been with your.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So, her life was intense, and there was a lot of adrenaline. And also, by the way, someone has to be awake 24/7. You can't go to sleep, because what happens if the ventilator disconnects or gets clogged? She's going to die. So it's like 24/7 around the clock. You have to be up, or you have to have someone who's up. So I was up a lot of nights with her. It was also like, I wish I could stay. I would give anything to be up another night watching her over her, so her life was difficult in certain ways, also really beautiful. But like, this kid is cordless, man. He's not plugged into a fucking wall. He's going all crazy. It's its own kind of difficult, But I think my dad has been smoking weed for probably about 60 years. And I think Isaac came just like pre-smoked, man. He's chill. Karmically, we got an easy kid this time, dude. He's relaxed, man. He's having fun.
Night.
Dude, it was 18 hours to get here from the whole trip. No tantrums. Chilling.
Wow.
Yeah, he's chill, dude.
That's impressive.
I think
10-month-old.
He's 10 months. Yeah. Audra like talked to him and was like, yo, dude, like give him a heart, give him an easy time. Like, I was rough on him a little bit. So yeah, so it's been really wonderful. And I would like to have a little girl next. I really would like a little girl. I sort of thought I wanted a boy, a real tough guy. I could do jujitsu with him and stuff, and we got a little girl, and I just like fell in love with being a girl dad. And but I think if we had a girl now, we wouldn't have been able to like not put all of our Audra trauma on her. So I think it's good that we had a little boy, but I really hope, I hope we have a girl next.
How's this changed you as a person, as a business owner, as a CEO?
I thought I was pretty present in my life, but the interesting thing about like being a human is there's always more depth to any experience. Like, there's more available. Like, the quality of your life is dictated by the amount of attention and intention that you bring to a given moment. And if you go to like a monastery, these certain Buddhist monasteries, they'll be like, hey, go cut the grass with the scissors. And you're like, you cut the grass with okay. What the fuck am I doing? Cutting the grass with scissors. And then all of a sudden it's like, you hear the birds, and you see a grasshopper, and you feel the breeze, and you have like the most beautiful, profound experience of your life doing the most stupid, mundane thing, because it's about what you brought to it. It's about the intention and attention that you brought to a given moment. And this was a little masterclass in that, that there's more available.
It's awesome, man. How's jiu-jitsu a part of your life?
And
judo.
Yeah, I made a promise to my grandfather when I was 5 years old that I'd get a black belt in judo. He felt very strongly that, little boys needed to know how to fight, needed to know how to drink, needed to know how to dance, needed to know how to relate with and communicate with women, and needed to know how to play poker. This was his, like, couple of his things that he thought, kids should know how to do. And, for me, like, being on the mats is like going home. I don't know life without it. I started when I was 4 years old. I did it my whole life. And it's just such a beautiful way to express yourself. And it's such a beautiful way to enjoy your body and your mind and your spirit and do something you love. And it's like humans have a desire to get high. Okay. You take a kid who's 3 years old. What are they going to do? They're going to spin in circles to change their consciousness. It's like we start very young looking for ways to get high. There's a lot of ways to do it. You don't got to smoke weed. You don't got to drink alcohol. You don't got to do plant medicine. You can go do breath work. You can go get in the ocean. You can go get in touch with nature. You can exercise. Jiu-jitsu is a kind of high that I love, and I chase it, and I feel, and I'm getting pretty good at it. And I'm getting better. I'm starting to understand it. And it's like, I'm not a black belt in jiu-jitsu yet, but I am in judo. And you get a black belt in something and you realize, oh, that's the beginning.
Yeah.
That's like where you start. You start like, and so it's just it's a beautiful art form and community. And I love that anywhere in the world I go, I can walk into a jiu-jitsu studio and it's like, and like,
you can get with those people, you're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, and you have friends everywhere. And also, if you truly respect the culture and the martial art and you put the time in, you're going to get that respect from that community because you're going to be good. You're going to be a good training partner.
How does it impact your business and then also your personal life?
Well, the interesting thing about jiu-jitsu is you're going to be put in uncomfortable positions. You're going to have to be able to relax in intensity. And that is how you be good at jiu-jitsu, is you experience a whole bunch of intensity and discomfort and you relax and you be deliberate. And I think that skill is useful in every area of life. It's like inevitably there will be a lot of discomfort in life. How do you navigate it? Do you freak out? Do you seize up? Do you get all tense? Or can you just like relax and be like, okay, cool. Like, what now? How do I move from here? And it's like, it kind of lets you practice that skill in a low stakes way. There's nothing on the line in jiu-jitsu. It's just fun, right? But you get to practice that skill.
What are you most excited about now in business, in marketing, in this internet stuff that we do?
I mean, I'm excited. I like marketing. I like figuring out what inspires and motivates and causes groups of people to take action in certain directions. And so I like telling stories. If you go look at Smart Marketer, we do these ads where we're like parodying movies. We'll do like The Big Lebowski and I get to dress up and play, we'll do like The Godfather. And like, I love telling stories and telling stories in marketing and telling stories that inspire people and motivate people and add value to their life. And then also sell them products that I think are useful, that are relevant to their life. And so I'm just doing more of that, man.
How do you see it changing?
I mean, it doesn't really change. I've been doing the same shit since like 2005. Okay. The ads change, the platforms change, the technology changes, but it's like, you got a group of people who are sharing a collective experience. Women over the age of 50 who are aging and everybody telling them it's wrong. Entrepreneurs who want to make money, who have internet businesses. Group of people sharing collective experience. Your job, engage them with content that is relevant to their life experience, that adds value to their life, that then alludes to solutions that solve problems they face, which are your products. And then do that on as many communication mediums as you can. That is the game. Find a group of people, figure out what they're interested in, figure out a way to connect with them, relate with them, build a relationship and intimacy and connectedness with them, and then ask them to do shit that you want them to do. Buy your stuff, buy someone else's stuff, go sign up for a fucking lead for whatever kind of leads you're generating. And then, do that everywhere you can, and then treat them well, make sure the product is good so that they'll come back and do business with you again. That's the game. It's the same game I've been playing. Just, you use whatever technology is available, AI and whatever's available today.
What are you most proud of? And to finish, what's something an idea you live by that you want to share with specifically people that are maybe the new affiliate or the young e-com entrepreneur or the coach trying to
I am most proud of how I showed up for Audra, for sure. I mean, that was like, I am told and believe I did a good job. I did right by her. I took care of my wife in her darkest, most intense moments. I'm proud of that. That feels really good to know that like I can look back and feel like I did right by her in her life. I'm happy about that. So my tagline in business is serve the world unselfishly and to profit. And I think that's a description. I'm not telling you to do that. I just think that's how it works. I think if you serve unselfishly, you profit in the act. Profit in the greatest sense of the word, karmically, energetically, spiritually, and monetarily, you profit. And if you can find a way to serve a community, make a wonderful product, tell a beautiful story, inspire somebody, like you're going to profit. And that the role of service is the most powerful role. People are like, look down on people in roles of service. All I want to do is be in roles of service. I want to be the bartender at the party. I want to serve the drinks. I want to create the space. I want to be the catalyst to create community. Because by the way, then you know everybody. You ever heard about Stone Soup? Stone Soup's a children's book. And it's like this French Revolutionary War officer, and he's like coming into this town and doesn't have any money. And he sets up this pot and he puts a couple stones in it. It's got nothing but stones and water. The guy comes by, what are you doing? Hey man, I'm making a soup for the town. I got some carrots. Another guy, I got some potatoes. And he ends up with this beautiful party and this big fucking pot of amazing soup that he then gets to eat. He now knows everybody. And it's like, yeah, dude, that is how you do it. You bring a contribution that you can bring and you get other people involved. And so that's what I try to do. I try to serve the world unselfishly and profit.
That's awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, brother.
Legend. Ezra Firestone, everyone. Check him out. We'll link back to his Instagram, websites, anything he wants for you to connect with. See you in the next episode.